My childhood was a journey, very exciting but also full of challenges. Unfortunately, my parents separated when I was still very, very young. And it's very common in Uganda when parents separate, they take children or grandchildren to their grandparents in the village. So all my childhood, I grew up in the village, one of the deepest villages in Uganda, where there was no electricity, no running water. The nearest school to my village was over 10 miles. And so I grew up with my grandfather, who was called Jacob as well. In my local language, he's called Yakobo. And my grandmother and my grandfather raised me up. My grandfather and my grandmother were subsistence farmers. It's not that they had big farms, they were just small-scale farmers who were just growing food for our own consumption. They taught me so many things. In fact, critically, they taught me how to love God. They taught me how to love people, and they also taught me how to work very hard. It was common for the elderly people to take care of the grandchildren, especially when parents separate. But what wasn't common is the faith, sharing the faith and the love of God. My grandfather particularly helped me to understand what hope means. At age 8, my grandfather saw potential in me as a child. He believed in me. He loved me. He encouraged me. And at that point, he made a decision to put me in charge of everything that was in our house. It was a small house, but he said, if anyone wants anything from this house, please ask Jacob. So I became the overseer or the manager of our household facilities. If you needed a hole or a panga, or you needed a basket or a jerrycan or anything, a cup or a plate, if you need it, go and ask Jacob. So that helped me to believe in myself, but also that helped me to know that I can be a leader. So from childhood, I was instilled and inspired to become a leader. And that spirit, grew up with me. Going to school in my village was not easy. I was walking 10 miles from my village to the school, one way 10 miles back, barefooted. We didn't have all these facilities at school in terms of library, in terms of school materials, even books. It was even difficult for us to get uniforms. But for us, going to school was a joy, because we knew that if you don't go to school, you don't have an opportunity to find a job. You don't have an opportunity to even get out of your community. Wow, that speaks into family engagement emphasis we are working on. Seeing where I am today and seeing where God has brought me from gives me a sense of joy, but also it is heavy on my heart. I've gone back to my village many times. I've gone to the place where I grew up. And unfortunately, not everyone had the same opportunity that I had. So it's a difficult experience for me. Every time I go back, I shed tears. It's very emotional. But I believe by God's grace, He will open up doors for those children. And that's just an example of one hard place. I know what it means to grow up in poverty. I know what poverty means. I have the scars on my body, on my hands, on my legs that were brought about because of poverty. I know that when children are not given an opportunity, their potential cannot be realized. So I have come to a strong conviction that the Lord has given me that opportunity not only to become a voice for the children in hard places, but also to be a living example that if children are given an opportunity, they can thrive, they can become what God has meant them to be.